The Mark Jeffrey podcast is part of Britpod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritpodScene.com or follow Britpod Scene on Twitter to find out more.
Hello and welcome to the Mark Jeffrey podcast show. This is episode 33, October the 19th, 2017, recorded from the studio on the hill, southwest UK, not a million miles from London. Now, episode 33 was once again proudly brought to you by MPC Solutions for all those computering needs. Coochie, how are you? I've got one hell of a show lined up for you this week. Me and the cupboard gimp, aka Liam Cloak, we're alone in the studio this week. I haven't got anybody coming to see us. It's just me and the gimp together alongside, discussing topics that we have dug up out of the World Wide Web. We're going to be talking about some dude who, he managed to swallow a fish whole. He got it stuck back his throat and nearly died. What a freak. And we also talk about the weird weather that's hit us here in the UK on Monday. Really, really weird that one was. I woke up and it was just all like red skies, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Ed Sheeran got knocked off his bike by a car this week. Now, don't panic. He is okay. He's managed to break his arm. It's all in plaster. But he may have to cancel his world tour. Is that a good or bad thing? We also pay our respects to BBC quiz show panellist Sean Hughes, who sadly died this week, aged 51. And we also talk about that American producer dude by the name of Harvey Weinstein? Something like that, is it? Weinstein? I don't know how you say it. But he's been a bit of a naughty lad, hasn't he? Well as all of that, we have two fantastic tunes sent in to us once again from Shameless Promotions, and they are The Days Off and a beautiful voice from Courtney Farron. So stay locked in. And just in case you are wondering who he is and who I am, you haven't listened to us before, and it's your first time, I hand you over to the voice from above. The Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show. Good evening and welcome to the Liam Cloak Podcast Show, episode 33, starring Liam.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Boys and girls.
I am Liam.
Cats and dogs.
He is Mark.
You got to introduce me now, Liam. You can't just leave it at that. You got to introduce me.
Okay. I sit beside Mark, who is of the Mark Jeffrey Podcast. Hello.
Sorry, mate. I'm trying to multitask here. It's something
you're not doing very well.
How are you, mate? Anyway,
I'm very well.
Yeah,
and you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I think there's a few bugs going around the house. I've just been upstairs and
I'll keep away.
Not just I've had to catch a spider. I went upstairs and caught a spider. Zach said, "Daddy, we got a redback spider in the bedroom." Well, you don't tend to get very many redbacks over here in the UK, so I knew that wasn't right.
I saw one of those false widows in the garage.
Yeah,
about an hour ago.
Well, in my garage?
No, my garage.
Was it a proper one?
Yeah.
Those things are proper kick-ass spiders.
Man. And they are massive, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was out on my post run the other day, and there's a bloke, and he's got a brush in his hand, and he goes, "I'm just brushing the trees for you, Posty." And I'm looking at him thinking, And he says, no, I'm just getting all the spiders out the trees. He says, because I hate walking down my drive in the morning having spiders' webs in my face. And one of my mates, he said, had half his face bitten off by a spider. I'm like, you what? He goes, yeah. He says he got bit in the face and it left a massive hole in his face where it obviously was.
They are poison.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, they're not poisonous, are they?
Not poison.
I think it's if it eats your flesh, doesn't it? If you're allergic to them, shall we say?
Some can paralyse, can't they?
Well, supposedly, yeah. I don't know much about the bloody things, but
keep them away from us. That's what
I don't mind spiders, to be honest with you. I really, really don't mind them. But now I'm getting to the stage now where I'm beginning to crush a few more because they're beginning to, if they're eaters, I don't want to chuck them back at an edge for them to eat somebody, do you? Anyway, what have you been up to this weekend then, mate?
I don't know how I'll follow that.
Hey?
No, just the usual, really. Just pop round to a mate's house. We do our vinyl nights fairly regularly. Had some drink. Add some good music. Some
Yeah.
Pink Floyd and some Tom Waits.
Who?
Tom Waits. Can't say I'd ever heard of a lot of Tom Waits, but when you've had a fair bit of drink, you tend to quite enjoy stuff that you would never normally buy and will never listen to again.
What drink have you been drinking this weekend then?
It was a blended malt whiskey.
And I do believe that you drank near enough the whole bottle
Well,
between you.
not just me, but there was like 4 of us, and we already had quite a bit to drink, so it was quite a bit to drink. Yeah, but no, we in moderation, please, people.
Well, I had an interesting night Saturday night. I went to a red carpet do.
Okay, is that a? Oh, I thought it was a carpet giveaway.
No.
Carpet shop.
Nikki's threat. I can't even get my words out.
Threat.
Nikki's friend. It was her 30th birthday.
Okay.
And she hired a marquee out at Plymouth Albion, the rugby club.
A Marquis
in
Jeffrey.
Plymouth. Yeah. And we went. It's not that funny, Liam. Don't laugh.
Oh,
he's laughing at his own jokes.
It's because it
here.
wasn't funny. That's why.
And she had a bit of a red carpet do, so I went out dressed in a dinner suit, a dicky bow tie, and
A spinning one.
No, not a spinning one.
Oh, Pat.
and Nikki went out in her ball dress, and we just basically went out and just got on the lash, really. But I'll tell you what, mate, it was a nice little venue down there at the rugby ground. But Jesus Christ, man, I bought a pint of Guinness and a vodka and Coke, £8.
Right.
To the extent that I had to question it with a lad because I thought, this cannot be right. A pint and a short. And he broke it down to me and he was right, £8 for a pint of Guinness. And, and I thought, what would it
just
been?
for the Guinness?
No, it was £8.
Oh,
and the vodka and Coke was
still
£8.
steep, isn't
It is, mate. It is.
London prices.
It was a bit of a rough one. But like I said, that was down Plymouth Albion, red carpet do. And then because of the people that we went with that tend to like their drink, Helen and Kenny, good couple they are. We woke up at their house on Sunday because we stayed at their house, and we woke up Sunday morning with a bit of a hangover. So, best way to get rid of a hangover? What's your best hangover cure?
Well, I'd have to say the tried and tested full English fry up.
Oh, exactly, mate. We went up the road.
Exactly.
We went up the road and we had a nice fry up.
You can't beat it. Well, halfway through, you're kind of regretting it, and then you think, nah, it's all right.
Well, no, I wasn't like that this week. I woke up on Sunday morning about 9 o'clock, and it was one of those ones where you wake up and you just open your eyes and the room's spinning and you just think, oh, I'm still pissed. I just don't want to be getting up.
I don't tend to get hangovers like that. I'm just more knackered. You just think, oh my God, can't move.
Well, so I was in one of those states. And then the thing is we got round to Kellen and Henny's.
Kellen and Henny.
We went round Helen and Kenny's house.
Yeah.
And I do this every single time, right? Whenever I go out dressed up in a suit or anything like that, to a wedding or whatnot, I take my suit, wear my suit and all that lot, and I take a spare change of clothing. But then the next morning when you get up and put my shorts and T-shirt on, I realise then that all I've got to put on my feet is a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't wear a pair of black shoes with shorts and T-shirts.
Hello.
So Kenny lent me a pair of his flip-flops that were like 5 sizes too big, and I just looked like a hobbit walking around.
Beautiful.
So that was nice. And then we, like I say, I come home after that and I just decided that enough was enough. I just crashed it on the sofa, which I decided that I was going to do for the whole of the afternoon. I was going to sit down in the whole of the afternoon.
Mate.
Until Nikki started watching.
10 minutes turns into 10 hours.
Well, Nikki started watching The X Factor. Oh. And in all fairness, I do put my hands up to watching more of The X Factor this year. I don't normally watch it like that, but this year I've pretty much watched all of it. And I can honestly say I've quite enjoyed it.
I thought you were going to say they need to cancel it.
But, I did get to a stage where I was just like, nah, enough's enough. So I decided that I was going to go out and I was going to take time to detail my car. Now, do you know what detailing a car is?
Well, I'm guessing it goes above and beyond normal cleaning. It's so that you're pretty much OCD on every little detail.
Exactly right, to be fair. Somebody put on Facebook this morning on a page there, they said, can anybody tell me what the difference is between valeting and detailing a car?
Well, one's fairly thorough. The other one is really, really, really thorough for every little individual bit.
Yeah, well, I think detailing comes from America, the word detailing, and it is basically cleaning your car to a detail. You know, you actually go in there with a small brush, getting in between the cracks and getting rid of every bit of
piece of glass on the Cadillac and every little bit of chrome. And
so I decided, because it was nice weather, that I was going to go out there. I gave my car a wash and I dried it all down. Then I clay barred the car to stripped it right back to all the contaminated paintwork, stripped it right back. Then I put a nice layer of polish on it. Right. Then I sealed the polish. Then I put some wax on.
Then waxed
off. Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah, so I'd done that. So it was a 6-stage detail that I'd done to my car. And it, honestly, mate, it was looking shit hot. The car was it was glistening. Until I woke up this morning, right? And now, on yesterday, the weatherman forecast a hurricane coming in, hitting the UK. They said roughly about early to mid day. Now, down here in the southwest UK, we've got the Atlantic around Cornwall, really, coming from America.
We're right on the edge.
But it was this hurricane. I can't remember what the hurricane was called. What was it?
It was actually in America called Hurricane. Is it Ophelia? Do you know what? I don't know if it was the same thing. I think it was. But
it was.
By the time it reached our shore, it wasn't strong enough winds to ever be called a hurricane.
No, but it was strong enough winds, mate.
But Storm Ophelia.
Yeah, it missed us and hit North Wales and Ireland the most.
Ireland,
I think it was, wasn't it? Ireland got a good.
I believe is still taking quite a bit of a batter in there.
Apparently, last I saw, 3 people had sadly been killed. One of these guys that was killed. He was outside with a chainsaw chopping up a tree when a bit of the tree collapsed on him. Now, would you be doing such things when, in the middle of a storm?
Because everyone makes mistakes, doesn't they, in hindsight?
Yeah. So, like I say, that we was told that this hurricane was going to hit the UK about Monday lunchtime sort of thing. But I woke up this morning because and went downstairs with the kids, and I'm sat in the front room and I'm looking out the window, and the wind was starting to pick up like it normally does, the calm before the storm. It was starting to get a bit windier and windier. But it was quite bizarre because it was quite dark for the time in the morning. But as well as being dark, the sky, it looked a bit reddy, sort of orangey, like an apocalyptic sort of sky.
Do you know what I was going to say? I've been watching quite a few of the the threads and the BBC and American television apocalypse and nuclear thing, and man, it is scary. You look out that window.
It did look like it, didn't it?
It looked like you were going to see a cloud burst go up, a plume.
Yeah. So, like I say, it was like a very, very strange, eerie sort of morning, and I looked on Facebook, and there was quite a few people. There was about 3 or 4 people that I knew from different areas of Devon and Cornwall that were all saying, about this red sky, but also they were also saying that there was a distinctive smell of smoke. Was there a fire in the area?
Yeah.
But nobody, when we're talking about 40, 50 miles radius amongst all these people, nobody knew of any fire in the area. And it got into the national papers that there was a smell of smoke that was over the southwest UK.
Yeah.
But nobody seemed to know what it was. Now, you was up this morning. Did you smell it as well?
Well, it was strange on the way to work this morning because as soon as I stepped outside, it was just boiling hot air. It's real warm. It was just like a middle of a hot summer's day, boiling summer's day with a breeze. It really did feel hot. And all you could smell was this real woody, kind of bonfire-y, smoky, acrid smell.
Crazy.
And yeah, it turns out they reckon it is probably from the Portuguese and the Spanish wildfires that have been raging, and it's been sucked up with the air and kind of distributed over the atmosphere, come back down with the storm.
Very spooky, though. Very spooky. And it, like I say, all this...
Mother Nature.
It was they had dust from the Sahara, so that's what I've got all over my immaculately clean car that took me 6 hours to do.
That's what they say turned the sun red.
Yeah, well, it's also turned my car brown, watermarks all over it.
Paint
so
off, paint on.
Yeah. So there was that, and it just so happened that the great storm itself that battered Western Europe 30 years ago was 30 years ago this very fine day. You know, the one back in 1987 when
I remember
Michael Fish said that, no, we're not going to get a storm. It's just going to blow over.
Yeah.
And we had 110 mile an hour winds or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I would like to think. I mean, they said recently that even today, with all their computer programs, they still wouldn't be able to. If a storm comes, you wouldn't necessarily know it was going to happen. Back then, 87, they were still sticking flipping clouds onto a weather map with magnets.
How old was you in 87? You couldn't have been that old.
I was born in 1989, sir.
Oh, so you wasn't even born?
No, that's how old I was.
It was a scary old day, that was.
Yeah.
I was in secondary school. It was my first year of secondary school. So
Yeah.
I was about 12. I was about 12. And I remember running home at lunchtime because I used to have my lunch at mum's house.
Yeah.
Well, my house as well at the time. And I ran home and there was, honestly, mate, I'm not no word of a lie, there was trees falling down around me, slates flying through the air, big fence panels flying through the... And I got home to mum, I said, look, I ain't going back to school. It was that scary, you know? It was so...
we very rarely have anything, thankfully, now, but we do still get real bad days, but nothing... It's kind of it's exceptional, isn't it? And the stuff they've seen, they've never really seen. They reckon 50 years at least since they've seen a storm hit Ireland as bad as it has with the winds.
So for any of our Irish listeners out there, then hopefully, you know, the storm should have passed now. I hope that you're all safe and well. I hope there's not too much damage, and, you know, fingers crossed that, you know, like I say, there isn't too much damage done to yourself and your property, because I think for a while they were on lockdown, weren't they? Locked into the houses, weren't going out.
They shut down all the schools, a lot of the buses. They told people not to leave unless it was an emergency. I think they're really taking it, but it seems to have thankfully worked, and unfortunately some people have lost their life, but it could have been far worse, I think, if people hadn't been warned about it.
Just strange that it's 30 years ago to the day.
It is odd that it's the exact day, isn't it, that this big... or the Great Storm of 87, that it is exactly the same. We've
been having some weird weather phenomena. Is that
phenomenal?
We've had some weird weather this year. I mean, like I say, that happened today, but then it was only about 3 or 4 months ago when we had that thunder and lightning, didn't we? That just went on and on and on and on and on. It was weird. I've never seen anything like it.
I have only ever seen it happen before. I was at the grandparents'. This was about... It's probably 10 or more years ago, and it is more than 10 years ago, and we just saw flashing in the sky, and we were looking, and it went on for a good 6-7 hours, just flashing all night, and it is scary when you see it, because
you realise that your granddad had left his hazard warning lights on. Is that what it was?
Someone taking pictures with a camera.
Well, yeah, I actually had that happen to me in Switzerland when I was a little kid.
Yeah,
I won't rabble on about it too much, but I was in a dormitory with me and my 2 mates, and I said it would be, if you looked into a mirror and said Bloody Mary 10 times, on the 10th time you'd see red eyes in the room, and they're all like, shut up. So I'd done it 9 times, and on the 9th time, Ali, my mate, goes, Jaff, if you said it one more time, I'm going to come over there and beat the crap out of you. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, like that. And they all jumped on the bed and started battering the crap at me. And as they started laying into me, there was a massive flash at the window, right? And we all got under our covers, you know, about 13 years old, bricking it. And then it was flashing again and flashing and flashing, but no thunder with it, just flashing.
No, you don't always.
And when we looked out the window, it was our next door neighbour taking pictures of the beautiful Switzerland road and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
Which was nice. Anyway, it is my week off this week.
Lucky bugger.
What do you mean you had a week off last week, didn't you? Was it last week or the week before?
A week before, I think. It was like about 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I haven't got much planned up until Friday.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of my weeks, you know, one of those weeks where easy.
See how it goes.
But today I've been doing some decorating. I've been decorating the porch. I tidied up the house and I cooked a roast. So it's been quite a busy day. We had a roast chicken.
Excellent.
Really, really nice. Really, really enjoyed that just a minute ago. Thursday, weather permitting. I mean, we just so happens to have got like stormy weather over here at the moment. But Thursday, I am going surfing.
Are you really?
Down in Cornwall with my mate Kenny. Yeah.
God, if the weather stays like this, you end up in Ireland.
Well, last time we looked, it was 16-foot waves. which is probably about 8 foot more than what I'm used to. So that was before the storm. So I don't know what it's going to be doing now. So, watch this space. You may see me.
Yeah.
You may see me in whatever country you are. You may see me like flying through there, like on the Wizard of Oz.
Float up, help you out.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Me flying around on it. And then on Friday, I am off to Windsor, and we are going to Legoland for 4 days.
Excellent.
So we may not have a podcast for you next week, all depending on what time I get back and what condition I'm in and whether I feel like doing one, or I might pre-do one. I don't really know. But at this present moment in time, it's looking very, hit and miss whether there'll be a podcast next week. So if not, we'll be back the week after.
Fair enough, mate.
So
Fair enough.
We're off to Legoland, which is the kids are looking really forward to it.
Do you know what? I bet you are as well, though, really.
I'm bricking it.
I've set that up for you, didn't I, really? No, it's the kind of place that whether you're a kid or an adult, obviously you've got to look after the kids while you're there. You still have fun, I reckon.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be quite an interesting place. I thought that, it's like Disneyland, isn't it? When I was younger, there was only one Disneyland, and that was in America.
Yeah.
And then they built one in Paris, Euro Disney, and now I think they're talking about building one in London, aren't they?
I think, yeah, I've seen, yeah.
Well, like that, I'm pretty sure that once upon a time when I was a little kid, I'm sure that the Legoland was in Denmark.
Which is where it originates, isn't it?
Is it? Does that sound about
yeah.
right? I was going to say, I'm sure that there was only one Legoland and it was in Denmark. But now they've built one in Windsor and it's quite a big place. But I tell you again, mate, it's bloody expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going for 4 nights, and 3 of those nights we're staying in a Premier Inn because it's cheap.
Okay.
But one night as a treat, we're taking the kids in to the camp, and we're going to be staying in Legoland. One night in the hotel. Have a guess how much?
200.
Put another 60 notes. 260 quid.
Is it really?
For a night in Legoland. So It better be well worth it. Do you know what I mean?
It's the kind of thing that I think will be worth it, and I think it's the kind of thing you've got to do once in you. It's like the law. You've got to do. But yeah, no, like I say, the cost comes because they've got to pack it away every night.
Box it up.
You imagine that? They go around with a little thing having to find a door.
Be interesting to know. I mean, all these buildings that they build at this place. I mean, I wonder if you used to build a house out of Lego, whether it would survive.
I think James May on the BBC did something fairly similar a couple of years back.
Right.
And tried to build it. And I think, I might be mistaken, it was out of actual Lego.
What, like just normal size? It was normal size,
and it was completely flexible. I think they wouldn't have got planning permission if they were going to...
Like a wimpy home.
Put his foot through the door.
Was you ever a fan of Lego?
Mate,
did you have any Lego?
Yeah, I did. I think it was a law back in... Well, it's not... I mean, it is still now for kits, isn't it? Lego does really well with all like the Star Wars kits and stuff like that. But when I was a kid and, well, through the 90s and that, all I can remember is everyone pretty much had the standard, the bucket things, didn't they?
Yeah.
The red buckets.
A bucket of Lego.
And it was just full of Lego, and you just made anything.
Well, that's it, because you used to get the kits, didn't you, like a police car or a police station or a fire station. You used to get it, you used to make it, and then you used to lose all the instructions, half of the bits. Yeah. And it just used to all go in one big bucket.
Turn into a normal car.
Yeah. I used to be a big fan of Lego. Can you remember, though, the days when you had the more technical Lego? What was that called?
Oh, Meccano.
No. It's like Lego.
Not Connects.
No, not like that.
I used to love that.
It was Lego, but it was more technical. It had like cogs in it and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, man.
What was it called? I can't remember what it was called. It was Lego, but instead of buying like a fire station or a police station, it would be like a massive model car,
a real car.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was like really, really technical. It was like technical Lego. It was like Lego.
Yeah,
back in those days. For men, that's what it was aimed towards. It was like you would have a JCB. You know, I can't remember what it was called. We'll have to look that one up. But
no,
did you ever used to play with that? Obviously, you didn't, because you didn't know what it was.
I don't think I did. No, but no, Meccano. I used to spend hours just putting together crap with that.
Meccano. That's the stuff that your grandparents talk about. Little nuts and bolts and stuff.
I remember
like that,
getting that from it must have been like 8th birthday, and just massive kit, and there was thousands of screws and motors, and it's brilliant.
Never done it.
Bring it back.
Ever.
It's
did
the
I
most.
ever play with
It's the
Meccano.
best / most frustrating thing that you can ever do. Just spend about 2 days putting screws together. It's like building a bloody bridge, which I did build at one
That's
point.
doing my head in now. Trying to remember what that flipping Lego is called, but. Yeah, so I'll probably go to Legoland on Friday and end up buying some and bringing it back.
You'd come
or
back
something,
with some Lego, wouldn't you?
if I can afford it. This Saturday, I bought a bigger sub tank for my vape mod.
It sounds like you just tried to rap.
Yeah,
A bit bigger sub mod
for
from a vape.
for doing vaping.
Blood.
Yeah, I've got the little sub tank. Now they're normally in 2 milliliter sizes, and I bought the extended, so it's 4 milliliter. And it's just a thing that goes on top of your mod for your vaping machine. It's made by Aspire. It's a sub tank, and like I say, instead of 2 milliliters, it's 4 milliliters, and it comes with better filters in.
Available at all good shops.
So the filter that's inside has got 4 holes in it rather than 2 holes, which allows the liquid to go in, which leaves you with better flavour and more smoke.
So for our listeners that don't know too much about it, vaping is a way of basically weaning yourself off of smoking tobacco, or
weaning onto it,
which it seems to actually happen. I always see now outside like the schools when I'm delivering up around the schools, and there's just the kids now. They're not all going down for a cheeky fag at the bottom of the drive. They're vaping.
Yeah, and they never had a fag before.
They never had a cigarette, never will.
No,
but just.
But it tastes good. It tastes good. Like I say, I ordered some more. I bought some more liquid on Friday. Well, it's 2 days ago. What date was that? So on Saturday, I ordered 2 more. I ordered it from a company called Vape Goo. That's VAPEGOO. And it's www.vapegoo.co.uk. It's a UK company.
Are we getting paid commission for this?
And if you order before 3:00 in the afternoon, you receive it the next day. And they're honestly a really, really good company.
That's good.
I ordered. Now I haven't got a clue what this is, but it sounds kind of cool. Grandma's Pud. That's the liquid.
Okay.
It's called Grandma's Pud. I ordered one of them. I ordered monkey custard. Right.
Yeah.
And I also ordered cherry cola. So we'll see.
Can't really go wrong with that.
No. So like I say.
Well, at least it's from the UK. In the UK, so kind of regulated.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow any kind of toxins or chemicals.
Well, no,
it's
all handmade. It's a smallish business. It's all handmade.
Handmade Grandma's Pud.
Yeah, and it gets sent to you the next day. So I'm looking forward to see what that tastes like.
Yeah.
But like I say, if you're interested in that, no matter where you are in the world, they send it out. www.vapegoo.co.uk. And it'll be there. If you order it by 3, it'll be there the next day.
Unless you live in Australia.
Well, that's it. So anyway, this week we're all alone in the studio. Last week we had Mr. Rich. No, sorry, the week before last we had Mr. Rich and the Caretaker, and last week we had Sam Delahaye in the studio. So we've had two of my groups of friends in the studio on 2 separate evenings.
2 groups of musical.
And really, really enjoyed those interviews. Which one did you enjoy doing the best, Liam? Which interview was it? Was it the Sam Delahaye interview, or was it the Mr. Rich and the Caretaker?
I've got to be diplomatic here and say that I like both exactly the same. They're both very different groups. One obviously the DJing set and going around doing the festivals. Sam doing again festivals, big festivals, working with or in contact with a lot of big groups and artists and things like that. But both doing really well in their respective fields.
And they're 2 lovely people to have a chat with. Really, really enjoy.
You can tell right away. Really nice people.
Now, last week we talked a little bit about Russell Brand and his sex addiction and his heroin addiction and all that lot. And he's just brought a book out. Now, I went into a supermarket yesterday, Asda. Nicky calls it Asda's. We went over to Asda's, and I very nearly bought his book. It was there on the shelf for £10, and I'd done something that I haven't done before, which is look at books in a supermarket, actually pick one up, feel it, and open it up. And I actually looked inside and read the first bit, and it's just like, I don't do reading. I don't read very much at all. Do you read very many books?
Yeah, I like to think so. I probably should say I do. Not as many as I should.
I would say that I never read. I've only ever read one book, right? And I've still got it upstairs now. It's a Richard Ashcroft book, and I've still got 15 pages left of it to read. I haven't finished reading it. So I'm 40 years old, and I've never, ever read a book right the way through. It just bore me.
I don't think that's we're not as reliant on having to read. We read a lot of other stuff, don't we? We've got a lot of other media that we can read or listen to. You can, to be fair, you like audiobooks. A lot of people get into audiobooks because they find it boring to read through it themselves. But I do like a book.
But, I mean, you got about audiobooks. Would you rather read a book or watch the film? And if that's the case, rather than listening to the audiobook, why wouldn't you just sit down and watch the film?
Yeah, I think...
Do you prefer reading
I'm
a
a
book?
bit of a purist with it. I think really it goes back... I did A-level English literature and stuff. You really have got to either listen to the book being read or read the book first, I think, because it is often so much different to the film. It really is.
Perhaps I should get Nikki to read me a paragraph, read me like a chapter.
Chapter
of a book
4
every night before I go to bed.
Yeah,
do you reckon that'd be cool?
Do it, mate.
What should I start off with first?
Live audio book.
30 Shades of Grey. Now, something I did read today, which I didn't read it today. I read it yesterday actually, and I read it, and first of all, didn't believe that it was actually true. I just laughed. I LOL'd. I laughed.
OMG.
I laughed out loud, but I just couldn't believe what I was reading. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit here for you now. And it says, angler who swallowed live Dover sole thanks paramedics who saved him. An angler who almost died after he accidentally got a whole live Dover sole stuck in his throat as he tried to plant a kiss on it to reunite it with, hold on. He tried
to reunite it.
Anyway, basically, Sam Quilliam, I think I say his name, 28. He caught this fish, right, and it was 14 centimeters long, and he just chucked it. He went to chuck it back in, but before he chucked it back in, he decided that he was going to kiss this fish goodbye because it was a small fish,
as you do.
And it managed to wriggle free out of his hands and jumped down his throat into his windpipe, causing a complete blockage. Now, his mate ran off quickly and dialed 999, and straight away paramedics were called. And when they arrived at Boscombe Pier in Dorset, they found Quilliam had actually collapsed and stopped breathing, and his friends Steve Perry and Matt Holmes were performing CPR on him when they actually got there. And apparently, you reckon that he had a heart attack.
Well, he
or
went
something.
into proper cardiac arrest. I mean, if they hadn't carried on doing CPR, he'd be dead.
Right.
He'd have do you know what? But done that thing at the start where it says that he was kissing the fish goodbye pretty much. Mate, he must have taken ages to come up with that. That just sounds like a completely made up thing. Who kisses a fish goodbye?
Well, the reason why he said he done it, because obviously a lot of people have been saying, why did you kiss this fish? Now, he says he explained his kiss had been inspired by the Australian television fisherman Rex Hunt, who often plants a kiss on his catch. So basically, he catches a fish, kisses it, and chucks it back in. Now, the thing is, mate, so... If you've just joined us, this geezer's been out, right? He's caught a fish, he's brought it in. It was too small, so he's decided to chuck it back into the water. But before he chucks it back in, he wanted to give the fish a little kiss, right? Chuck it back in the water. This fish is wiggled free out of his hands, gone back his throat, and got stuck in his windpipe. Now, you can kind of believe that, can't you? You could, in a sort of messed up...
Mate,
you could imagine it. A little small like fish.
Yeah.
But this thing was massive, man.
Big.
It was a massive fish. And it was just like, it wasn't like I don't know, how can you describe it? It wasn't like a cylinder sort of shaped fish.
Oh, no,
it was a proper flat fish.
Flat fish.
How the hell did that get down in wedge in his windpipe?
And they carried on CPR, and I did read they had to, once the paramedics got there, they had to, they call it like intubate, they had to actually open the airway up with a thing because the fish was stuck right in the throat.
Yeah, but they had to actually put long forceps down his throat
and try
pulling it out,
and they couldn't because it was so slippery.
It's
slippery and it breaks apart. You think, yeah, but what a way to die! Having to explain and having to go.
But he didn't. He didn't
Thankfully,
die.
He didn't.
No, but I mean,
how would you explain that?
dying from kissing a fish.
Do you remember that time that I nearly died? I had a cardiac arrest because I kissed a fish.
That's the sort of thing that I would say, innit? The sort of thing that would normally happen to me, to be fair. Yeah, well, I went to the beach and I decided I was going to go fishing and I kissed a fish.
And I liked it.
And it jumped in my throat and tried killing me. Oh, stupid fool. Have you ever been fishing?
I thought you were going to say ever kissed a fish. No, I've never been fishing, mate. Only I've caught crabs once when I was younger.
You've been crabbing. Crabbing's quite kind of fun, to be fair.
You know, you can sit there at loo for hours just catching nothing.
With this bit of rope dangling off a bloody bit of string.
And when you do catch it, it bites you and you just chuck it back in anyway. Oh.
No, fishing, it ain't for me, to be fair. I don't.
It's relaxing. That's what I hear.
Is it? Do you honestly think it's relaxing?
I can honestly think, especially people who work in like big cities and that, if they go away, even in cities, you can fish, urban fish and that. You go away in a quiet spot, you spend hours there. If that's your kind of thing, to be honest with me, I would probably get bored of it. But
I used to go fishing with my cousin.
For the halibut?
there's a time and a place for these jokes, Liam.
Oh my God.
You're a starfish. Anyway, so we used to go fishing and they used to set me up a rod and all that lot, and I used to cast out, which I was crap at, and then I'd catch something and bring it back in, and I couldn't take it off the hook. I was just like too scared it was going to like fall in my throat.
You just
or bite
kiss
me
it
or
and
something.
chuck it back.
So I used to just, when they used to fish, I used to sit there, watch them and get stoned. I just thought that was the easiest thing to do, to be fair, just for the hell of it.
Yeah, I do genuinely like the idea of like going, they do like competition fishing, don't they? And when they go to try and catch a biggest thing, that looks quite good where you're in a place where you're catching loads and loads of stuff in.
Well, Sean and Steve, they actually entered one of these competitions in Plymouth.
Okay.
And what they do is they get you on a boat and they take you out to the breakwater.
Yes.
And there's that big wall
I've seen
on the
breakwater,
right? And Sean says they went out there and it was an absolutely freezing day. The wind was, and there's like a little shed in the middle. So they're sat in this shed and they were there all day and none of them caught anything apart from Sean. And he caught a starfish.
Starfish.
So the only catch of the day was a starfish. So anyway, I think it's time for some music, don't you? Should we have a cup of coffee?
Let's have some music.
Cool.
Yeah.
Here it is. A truly stunning song taken from a truly stunning album that will no doubtably be on everybody's turntables by the end of the year. Words, not from me, but from James Atkin, EMF's frontman. EMF, remember those guys? You know, the 90s band? You're unbelievable. Yeah, okay, Mark, shut up. Now, if that's good enough for him, it's more than good enough for me. And in all honesty, when I listened to that track, I did actually think it was James Atkin singing it himself. But it wasn't. It was, in fact, The Days Off, and they are an NYC-based Japanese-Russian duo consisting of two artists. You know, that's what a duo is. And I'm going to now attempt to try and pronounce their names. Vladimir Komarov and Atsuyo Matsumoto. Did I get that one right? Hey? Hopefully I did. If not, I'm truly, truly sorry. Now, that song was Next to Nothing, and it is track number 8 from their debut album, and their debut album is called The Days Off, and it was recorded by Emerald and Doreen Recordings, and this fine album comes out November the 10th. And as well as Next to Nothing, it also has another song on the album that I want you to check out, and it is called Love, Love, Love. Now, for more info on the band, you can find their work on SoundCloud, YouTube and Facebook, and I will put the links to their material up on my show description notes and also my webpage, www.jav10.simplesite.com. Did you know that it was the Tour de Mall this weekend?
Do you know what I did? Because I have flashbacks to it almost weekly.
Do you want to tell the listener at home what the Tour de Mall is?
Tour de Mall is a charity bike event that is run in our part of the world that we are at, which is Dartmoor. And it is a fairly tough, and they do, well, to be fair, I didn't look at this year whether it's the same as when I did it.
I don't think it is.
But they used to do like 3 lengths.
Oh, they do.
So there's obviously the shorter,
novice,
the
intermediate, and advanced.
And like the fool that I am, we went for the longest when we did.
That's 50 kilometres. Year.
Well, I think that might be more than when. But when we did it, it was like 30 miles, something like that.
That's about 50 kilometres.
Yeah,
isn't
it probably is about that actually.
Yeah.
But it is. The weather wasn't particularly great when we did it, and it is grueling. You forget. I mean, I did it. I made the terrible mistake. I didn't actually have a mountain bike. I had a hybrid.
Right.
And that was my first mistake.
Yeah.
Doing it was the second mistake.
Yeah.
But seeing the boulders that people, I know that's mountain biking, but there was one bloke that was in front of us, and there was a group of us. There was about 5 of us did it from work, and he just went over a boulder, and his bike pretty much just bent in half, and that was the end of it. And he's probably about 4 or 5 miles away from the nearest checkpoint thing. He's just he looked devastated having to carry it back.
I used to be into mountain biking. I bought a Specialized mountain bike. Well, it was about 2007 I bought this bike. It cost me 1,500 quid, this bike. A Specialized stunt jumper, I think it was. And it's a full suspension bike. And we went to the Norfolk Downs. Is it Norfolk Downs?
Norfolk Broads?
No, the North Downs.
Oh.
Not the South Downs,
I was going to say
the North Downs.
Norfolk Broads is the water, isn't it?
And there was me, George and Matt. We went on this bike ride, and it was a 27-mile mountain bike trek, from the Mountain Bike magazine.
Yeah.
So we decided we was going to do that.
It's a fair old distance.
4 miles in, we're going down this ravine, and there was this you get beside the road, you get the water bits, the water dikes, don't you?
Yeah.
And I went round the corner, and I went too wide, hit this water dike, flew through the air, mate, flew through the air. My bike flew through the air above me and crashed. And when I got up, I'd actually cracked my helmet, right? And
it did its bloody job.
It did do its job. And also, but the thing is I had no first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth or seventh gear. Just was not going in gear at all. Well, it wasn't until I got back that I realised that I bent my derailleur.
All right.
But I had to ride another 20 miles with no first to seventh gear. But honestly, I used to really, really enjoy doing my mountain biking.
You know what? I haven't been out on the bike for a year or so, but I do really enjoy it because you don't depending on where you go, if you're on the road, right, you don't feel like you're doing miles and miles, do you?
No, you don't.
It's good exercise.
But as it turns out, accidents happen to everyone, even if you're a Grammy-winning singer. Over the weekend, Ed Sheeran was in a bike accident that left him with a broken arm, and the circumstances around the incident are pretty scary. In fact, the injury may actually lead Sheeran to have to cancel or postpone his upcoming events. Or I think he's got a world tour, so he might have to cancel the whole lot. Since he is now wearing a cast, on this week's Instagram, today's Instagram page that he put up, they showed you the accident of it, and he's now in a cast. And I was just about to say then, all right, so he's got his hand in the cast, but why is he going to have to cancel his tour? But I forgot he plays the guitar. So he may have to, because of his bike accident, cancel up the whole of his tour because of it.
Yeah. Hey, I always think back to Dave Grohl. If Dave Grohl can do it with a broken leg and he nearly lost the leg,
yeah,
mate.
Apparently I see here now, Sheeran was hit by a car whilst riding his bike in London.
Yeah, do you know what? It would never appeal to me to ride a bike in London. honestly, I'd rather walk. And even that's still dangerous in London.
You take your life into your own hands, don't you?
Man, because it's everything in it at once. It's not really set up that well for bikes.
Have you ever been to Amsterdam?
I have not.
Jesus, man, you think London's bad? You go to Amsterdam. There's bikes everywhere.
But some places
coming at all different angles, bloody bells ringing everywhere.
Some places they genuinely do set it up real well, but like London is never. It's a free for all, really.
Yeah, it's a very, very scary place.
Stay safe.
Now, some sad news. I don't really know much about him, but you do. Irish stand-up star and BBC Quiz show panellist Sean Hughes died at the aged 51. Apparently, he was, if you don't know who he was, Hughes was a team captain on Never Mind the Buzzcocks on BBC Two and had his own Channel 4 sitcom, Sean Show.
Yeah, I believe, I mean, this is going back into the 90s as well, that he was one of the original team captains on Never Mind the Buzzcocks. But I haven't seen a lot of his work, but it's obviously very sad for him to pass away at a young age, you know.
Any, does it say how he died at all?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean,
51's no age, mate, is it?
I'm not aware that he's been as in the public kind of media and all that, but it says that he's written a lot of things as well. So, but you know, pay our respects to anyone who passes away like that.
Yeah, other people to pay their respects of fellow comedians, Al Murray, Katie Brand, Jason Manford, and they will, like I say, they'll all be paying a tribute to the performer and writer and actor. So yeah, very, very, very sad times. It is sad when you see somebody in the media, somebody that we could all look up to,
somebody kind of grown up watching. Yeah.
Unlike Harvey Weinstein, is it Weinstein? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't. I mean, the thing is, I'm gonna have to just apologise here now because I don't watch much telly.
I think it's Weinstein.
Yeah, and everybody's talking about this bloke that's supposedly he's allegedly been how would you put it? Allegedly
harassment, rape.
Yeah,
it's basically, as awful as it sounds, it's a similar kind of thing that was kind of covered this country, and we've had quite a few things in the UK that have come up. Now, it's kind of opened a bit of a can of worms, really, because it turns out that it's not really just him. It's actually most of Hollywood is quite like it, and there's a lot of it going on. I think it's just the beginning of finding out about other people.
Who is he then, if you don't know who he is?
He is was a film. Well, again, I never really heard of him until this, to be completely fair. But like a producer, and he's done a lot of work in films, and not an agent, but kind of developing like the careers of young actors and actresses. But it turns out was actually probably ruined or ended a few careers because people refused to do what he said. And
see, I mean, I was listening. Joe Rogan was talking about this on this week's show, and I did chuckle at the whole show because they made it sound quite. I mean, I know rape is a very serious thing, and I'm not laughing at that. But the way they talked about the whole scenario, they managed to. Oh, it's hard to explain. It was quite comical, if you know what I mean. It was they were taking the mickey out of him, sort of thing, rather than what he had done. Calling him a fat slob and, talking about snorting cocaine and all this sort of stuff.
But one of the strangest things, and all I can really refer it back to, obviously it's different crimes, but of a similar nature, is over in this country, the Jimmy Savile things, where it had been going on for years and years and years, and people did know about it, but nothing was ever done about it.
But it's similar over there, isn't it? I think the Americans are now seeing, like you say, in Hollywood, what we saw in the BBC last year and the year before that.
Well, they've always known it goes on, but maybe not to that extent. And now it turns out that it's prolific. The whole of Hollywood and the film industry is built on this kind of culture, isn't it?
See, like I say, I haven't listened to it on the news. I don't tend to listen to much news, but I kind of listen to what people have to say and draw my own conclusion of it. And until Saturday night, I've kind of changed the way I look at things because you're looking at a bloke now. He's got shitloads of money. He's a producer. Makes loads of big
very high
films.
in the
He's
film.
very, very high. He's owns shitloads of money.
Got his own companies.
Companies. So he's a bit like a Trump sort of figure in the Hollywood world. That's the easiest way to describe it. And he's got loads and loads of money. And I took I looked down the route that, okay, apparently he's been raping people. But then loads of people were saying, well, actually, it was more of a case that people, like females that wanted to work their way up the ladder, were actually going to him and, having sex with him or, whatever, to work up the rankings. And I said at the weekend, I says, well, look, if you want to go up the rankings and you're prepared to have sex to go up the rankings, how is that rape, and how is that his fault? If you, he's taken advantage, yes, but is it rape?
It depends. I think we're going to find a lot more out about it. But now the UK police are dealing with a lot of allegations as well. I mean, it sounds fairly horrific, a lot of it. I mean, it may, it's up to the police to be able to investigate it all now. But it sounds like, money's not enough for him, is it? He's got everything pretty much.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like we all think that rape is being held down and somebody forcefully having sex with you.
Well, there's different rape in different.
That's right. I mean, he is
police districts.
He is basically. You can look at it. So if somebody said to you, right, you are not going to go up any further in your job, in your career, unless you have sex with me, right? That can be as much as rape as what forcefully holding somebody down and having sex with them isn't it? But
I'm going to, again, take the diplomatic stance. Is we only are really hearing stuff that's coming out through the media. Now, we know that...
And it's only alleged.
But a lot of the media stuff gets twisted, or it's a bit like the Chinese whispers thing. You hear different things. It needs to be investigated. Really, they can't let the media, like they have in this country, they can't let the media and what the media is saying has happened affect the investigation, because either way he might be wrongly accused of some things, or he might not be accused or dealt with properly.
But also, I mean, like I say, he's allegedly raped. How can you make that a fair trial now when it's something that everybody in the world will have heard and drawn their own conclusion? How can that be a fair trial to him?
It's impossible to have jurors or have people in a courtroom that don't know who he is and what is alleged that he's done. It really is, which is why it's difficult to keep things completely out of the media. But wouldn't it have been better if it had all been dealt with internally and they'd investigated it, or the police are investigating it without the world knowing? Because now he might get away with, allegedly, or it might go either way, rightly or wrongly, mightn't it? Because of the media attention to it. They've already kind of undrawn and courted him. And it might be right, it might be wrong, but there's a lot of that happens.
I'm sure, mate, we're going to hear a lot more about this.
I think this is only the beginning.
There's going to be a lot of people, like with the BBC issues last year, there's going to be a lot of people dragged through the dirt.
Not just him and let's be honest, let's keep a sense of balance. Not always just men, men and women. It works both ways with things.
I mean, about 6 or 7 years ago, it might even be more than that, about 7 or 8 years ago, I had to do jury service in Plymouth, and I won't go on too much about it. I was
probably not allowed to. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think you are. You're not allowed to talk about it at the time. When you're a juror and you're actually in there, you can't tell anybody about it. But once it's all been out and it's all done and all that lot, you can talk about it because it's all in the newspaper and everything.
Publicised, yeah.
But basically, I was asked to be a juror on a rape charge where a young lady was supposedly raped by this chap. And I'll tell you what, mate, without sounding more morbid or anything like that, I really, really did enjoy my week doing jury service. It really does open your eyes to the jury system.
It's the same reason people watch like crime dramas, isn't it? In courtroom, because it is real life.
First of all, I went in there on the first day and they was ripping it out of these blokes that was not the defendant, what do they call them? The accused. Yeah. The defendant's judge was ripping out, and we're like, day one, this bloke doesn't stand he doesn't stand a chance. Second day, the defendant stepped up, his solicitor, And I'll tell you what, he ripped this poor woman apart, you know. And I mean,
They do.
And I mean, she's
that's
having
why
to stand up in court and, you know, reenact what goes on, tell everybody what was going on. And this bloke, rightly or wrongly, you know, his solicitor is ripping it out of her.
This is why most cases of rape or sexual assault never get to court, because they know that they're going to put them through hell again.
Well, not only that, but 80% of people that get raped, it doesn't even get to court because a lot of the time there is not enough evidence. It's your story against their story. There's nobody around, and it just gets chucked out of court.
CPS drop it because if they haven't got any kind of forensic evidence or anything like that. No, it's sad. It's sad that things like you see in the news, the police often say crime figures have dropped. Well, it's not that they've dropped, is it? People just don't report it because they think they ain't going to do anything.
Why don't they just do one of these Jeremy Kyle lie detector tests? These lie detector tests are supposed to be, you know, 100% accurate, aren't they?
They use them in America, but
why don't they use them?
Very rarely use them over here. I think they will use them, and they will pass, I think, in court for certain cases and that, but they don't routinely use them. It's strange. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, mate.
It would save the courts one hell of a lot of money. You know, if they was just to stand up in court, did you do it? Yes or no? No. Right, okay. Plug yourself into this machine. Plug yourself into the machine, mate, and say yes or no again.
You know what?
And it would all be done bang like that. And they save. So, I mean, because the thing is,
it put
costs
thousands of people out of a job. That's why.
Yeah, but I suppose you're right.
That's why, innit? That's why they fight it. I
suppose you're right. So that's that. Also, something else that I did see in the news this week is a Chinese space station will crash into Europe in the next month. That's what it says. Apparently, there's a space station that the Chinese have sent up. That they've lost control of it. It's just lost the control, and it is plummeting towards the world.
Okay.
And apparently, it's going to crash into somewhere in the world in a month's time.
Somewhere in the world.
They don't know where it's going to.
Nice and specific.
Don't know where it's going to crash into. Quite scary, that, you know.
But then I suppose things fall from the sky quite often, I think.
Well, a lot of the Earth is covered in water and desert.
And there's craters and, you know, that are meteors and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll
watch this space.
Hopefully it'll find some water.
Anything that you've seen in the news or any topics that you'd like to bring up there, Liam?
I was going to talk about, actually, I'm going to use a kind of a basis of what we've already talked about, this Weinstein thing. But James Corden made some comments which were taken rather in poor taste. Now, my thing is not specific to do with that case, but do you think comedians or people apologise unnecessarily quite often? Do you think that really we lack a sense of humour or being able to be, you know, I think it was Jimmy Carr said that you can make jokes about everything apart from one thing. And he said Hillsborough. And that was one, he wrote it in his book as well, that there would never ever be anything funny to write about the Hillsborough disaster, which in this country was a football disaster and a tragedy where
96 Liverpool supporters
did die.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that's right? Do you think that you can make pretty much a joke, and it's all about offence, isn't it? And people do take offence at things, but sometimes wrongly placed offence. You know, they see things in it that aren't. It's a very strange thing. But for someone like James Corden having to, who I'm not a particular fan of, to be fair, I'm not.
I like him. I think he's good.
But either way, do you think it's just pandering to the media, isn't it? It's so that to save your career, having to say it. But what? Well,
I mean, a few weeks ago we talked about this, didn't we? We talked about this in the fact that once upon a time you used to be able to have a laugh and joke, and now you can't have a laugh and joke through offending somebody. Now, comedians are there. They are there to entertain the public. They are like years ago used to have the jester, didn't you? You know, if you wanted to be entertained, you'd have a jester that would come on and make a fool out of himself, and we'd all laugh and stuff like that. He'd take the mickey out of you, and this, and you know, and that's what primarily a comedian is. He's there to go on stage, and he will take the mickey out of you. And you've gone there to watch him. You know what he's like. If he picks on you, then what not?
But don't you think they're there to, and they do take the mick out of everyone, including themselves? But it's just we've got a bit of a culture now where everyone feels like they've been offended by something, so everybody's
angry, man. I don't know where the world's come at the moment. Everybody in the world seems to be angry.
We used to be able to laugh at ourselves and have a joke, without having to be racist or sexist or anything like this. But everything you switch on or you look at the computer, and someone's gone into a shop and made a complaint because the boys' shoes were better than the girls' shoes, and it's sexist.
Yeah.
Now, it's just poor marketing a lot of the time, isn't it? Or someone's had a terrible idea and called it the wrong thing. It's not. We're too easy. We're too quick to label it as sexist or racist, and we use these things so much that it loses all meaning.
I think looking at it at a different angle, some people can get away with some things and others can't. Prime example, right? If you are somebody like, going back to Liam Gallagher, right?
Mad for it.
Everybody knows that he, as an individual, will say what he thinks about anybody, and he doesn't give a damn, right? So, that if he was a comedian, he would go on like Howard Stern or whatnot, and he would go on stage and he would say what he wants about anybody, about anything or whatnot. And at the end of the day, it would be just like swept under the carpet.
Yeah.
But if you're a comedian like Corbyn, like I was going to say Corbyn, then like James Corbyn,
some would say, yeah,
he's quite a nice bloke that's doing well over in America, and I think that if it had been another celebrity that was that sort of minded, where he says what he thinks and all that lot, it wouldn't have been wouldn't have been looked at the same way. I think it all depends on who you are as a comedian and what.
And I think it depends on where it is that you're being a comedian. I think sometimes the Americans might find certain things funny that the British don't, and vice versa. It's all
I think he was probably in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was a bit too raw still to make a joke of it.
And they have pandered to it a bit and said actually he didn't write that. It would have been written for him. But I don't think people have to apologise a lot. Ricky Gervais is another one who really pushes that and says, look, I haven't got to apologise for making a joke about that. Because if you're offended, you're offended.
Yeah, just turn off. Don't watch me again.
We should all be offended by things, shouldn't we? Really, that's what makes us human.
The problem is that is the thing. If somebody offends you, what do? You just turn away and when you're younger, you got me smacking one, right? As you get older and more mature, you just turn around and walk away and just can't be bothered with them.
But the whole purpose of life is to be offended. Certain things you think,
but you're going to get offended.
Certain things you think, God, that's a bit, and you'll tell people, but you don't automatically turn around and say, I'm offended, I don't want to hear it again, complain. It's just, it's all got a bit silly.
Yeah. I think we'll put...
Offend me, please.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to offend you with what I'm going to put on next. I'm going to put a lovely bit of music on, and hopefully you will love it.
You figured it'd end. It's not a surprise, but it hurts so badly, and you know you'll just cry if you give it a second. So you try and stay busy, end up doing nothing. You watch TV and eat and sleep, and now you're getting sick, 'cause you're not taking care of yourself. Your family's worried, but what can they do to help besides tell their stories, which you don't want to hear? They could be the exact same, and you'd find a way not to relate, 'cause you don't think they can love the way that you can love. And maybe they can't, but maybe they could once, and that just makes you more sad as you think of your future and how you're now alone. pessimistic. Just know it will take time. You've become impatient, 'cause you now know the feeling of having a body lie next to you when you wake up, holding their hand and getting to share your love. There's just nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. There's just not. You figured it end. It's not a surprise, but it hurts so badly.
A warm voice from an artist who you really need to listen to, says the Noise Journal. A highly accessible feast to be savoured, says the Big Takeover magazine. And it comes highly recommended by Torched magazine. Now, born in San Francisco Bay, but now living in the Big Apple, that was the beautiful sound of Courtney Farron. Nothing Like It is the first track taken off of her debut LP, and it came out on October the 6th. It's a beautiful LP, and I urge you at home to also take a listen to a couple more tracks off the LP, Hard to Tell and Someone. Forget it. Just go and listen to the whole LP. It is truly amazing. Get over to our YouTube channel and check her out. You can also find her on Facebook and SoundCloud. And as I said earlier on in the episode, all the links are on my show description notes, and also they are on my webpage, www.jav10.simpleside.com. So there we have it. Thank you very much, Liam. That was educational one tonight. Not quite as long as the previous weeks. We're only an hour tonight so far.
I enjoy the weeks where we've got people in, but equally I enjoy the weeks where we just talk about random shit.
Yeah, random shit.
Yeah.
Any last words on random shit that you'd like to bring out of the closet? You gimp.
I'm going to say, what am I going to say? I'm going to say stay safe out there. And do have nightmares.
Yeah.
Halloween's are coming.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy lives to listen to episode 33. You can get in contact with me at jaff10@hotmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at MrJaff10, and I'm also on Facebook, The Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show. And check out all of the links to tonight's music and guests by finding my webpage.
My webpage.
Yeah, www.jaff10.simplesite.com. Please check out and subscribe to the Mark Jeffrey Podcast Show on iTunes. Get over to iTunes, type it all in, and while you're there, leave me a cheeky little comment. What do you reckon, Liam?
It sounds perfect.
The comments are coming in. So next week, I don't know. Like I say, next week, I'm not sure what's happening. Episode 34 might not be around next week. It might be the week after. We will see how we go. I'm coming home on the Monday, which is the day that I record podcasts. So I might try and squeeze one on Tuesday. It all depends on how I feel. But we'll go with it. Just say that, Liam, shall we?
Yeah.
So we're over here next week.
Squeeze one on. Yeah.
Or. All right, well, I don't know what you're going on about. But
I don't know.
Until next time, look after yourselves and those around you. Treat others as you wish to be treated yourself. And remember, your life may not be as crazy as you once thought it was.